Hi, I'm Jesse from MyNet Music, and today we're going to check out some of the differences between the beginner, the intermediate, and the professional level instrument. I brought a guest with me here today, Rosalind Sanchez. She is going to be a junior at Black Hawk Christian, and she's going to show us some of the differences between the various levels of clarinet. We're going to start off, she's got a Summer 1400 beginner clarinet. Let's have a listen. Great, thank you. So the beginner clarinet is designed to make the earlier sounds in the clarinet easy, the notes that we get in the first couple years of playing. This is typically the instrument that you're going to start with if you're in beginning band and you're a young player. They are durable. They're typically made out of plastic, which is great if you are a fifth grader or a young child, parent not having to worry about that expensive wood clarinet. But there are some difficulties. When you start getting into more advanced passages or some higher notes or extended technique, you may start to be limited. The next instrument we have is the Yamaha 450N. This is a wood clarinet. It's an intermediate level clarinet, and hopefully you'll hear some differences in tone quality as well as technique. This is the instrument that you want if you're starting to get into tone production and you want a higher quality of sound. Typically older beginners will start here, or anyone getting into the high school level ensembles. Great, thanks. So right off the bat, what are some things that you noticed between the beginner clarinet that you were playing and the intermediate clarinet that you're playing now?
I felt like the tone was obviously a lot stronger, and it was easier to control the high notes that I was hitting. On the beginner, it was more of a hit and miss type of thing. I couldn't really hold the whole tone out for very long because it was obviously going to go out of pitch, or it was going to be harder to control or do any sort of vibrato on it. But with the intermediate, it felt like it was a little bit more in my wheelhouse of being able to stabilize the note and hold a longer tone with the beats in the count. So
sure. Did you notice any difference in the fingerings itself?
Yeah, the fingerings were easier. I feel like the pads had more response than the beginner. The beginner is almost a little bit too stiff because the holes and everything's built different. It's obviously built for a smaller kid or a smaller beginner, and as an intermediate, obviously is built for someone who's an older beginner or someone who's just a little bit more advanced and also has bigger hands. So it's easier for me to be able to transition faster, and it felt like the keys and pads are really responsive. So
absolutely. So on the beginner level instruments, aside from being plastic, they are built with a different pad. It's designed to seal up in lieu of mistakes. It's designed to cover up some things. When you move up to the intermediate level instruments, they're a higher quality pad. You're getting into the wood, which gives you a richer sound. And the mechanisms and even the way the keyholes are cut, there's less room for error, but it also means there's more room for greater technique. Next up, we're going to listen to the Buffet R13 professional clarinet. When we get into the professional world, it's not necessarily that you're a professional player. This just means that you find that those things that made a difference between the beginner and intermediate, you now are ready to step up from the intermediate to the professional. Faster technique, higher quality engineering, and better production. So we're going to have Rosalind now play for us the Buffet R13. Yeah, thanks. So, right off what are your initial impressions on the R13?
My initial impressions is that it was my favorite out of all three, and like for obvious reasons, because the tone sounds a lot better on like from the low range to the third register when we hit the high. No, it was so much easier, and I had so much more control over it, and like I felt like the vibrato on it sounded really good, and just the whole initial sense of like playing on a professional versus a beginner is like you obviously see the development like that happens within the musician and the instruments themselves as they improve and get better, and obviously the wood increase, like how much more wood you put into it is like so much better than playing on plastic. And the pads like obviously even better than the intermediate, so they have a lot more response to them, and it was really easy to just go through all the like different runs and scales that you do when you practice, and it was really good.
So as we get into the professional level, obviously this is the highest level of customization. So you might get into different key configurations, different materials for the keys. This one happens to have silver-plated keys, which most players think gives them a little bit better grip, but you can also get nickel plates. So all of these options to help customize your sound. Once you really get to know how to play, it's nice to be able to play with these different details and to make that instrument your very own. If you think you're ready to upgrade, give us a call at 260-482-5533 and let us help you find the perfect instrument for you.